This time on Motorweek 88, Mazda's new 626 gets four wheels that steer. Charlotte Nichols gets the inside story on quality auto painting. Patt Goss gets letters about cars that make noises. And our staff gets another long-term four-door, the Pontiac Bonneville. Come drive with us next.
Motorweek 88, television's automotive magazine, with your host, John Davis.
Well, hello again and welcome to Motorweek 88. We're glad to have you with us. You know, a few weeks back, we introduced you to the newest Honda Prelude, the first production car sold in America with four-wheel steering. Well, if you passed that feature off as a fad or a fluke, you were wrong. Now we're going to introduce you to the second car sold in America with four-wheel steering. And guess what? It's not a sports car or even a sports coupe. It's a four-door family sedan, the Mazda 626. Why four-wheel steering on a four-door sedan? Good question. We suspect Mazda is trying to sell four-wheel steering the way Audi sells four-wheel drive, by turning the added hardware into an exclusive premium image. As for the exclusivity, the four-wheel steering model comes only in one color, white, and with these color-keyed 15-inch alloy wheels and 60 series performance tires. While that won't keep the car above the rabble, the price surely will, $17,149. With air conditioning and a security system, our test car cost $18,104. The 2.2-liter four-cylinder is revised this year, as is most every component on all 626s. The engine has a new 3-valve per-cylinder head. Also, the four-wheel steer 626 comes only as an intercooled turbo. With 145 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque, it goes from 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds and covers the quarter mile in 15.9 at 89 miles per hour. That's very impressive. But power doesn't come on as smoothly as we'd like. There's a great rush of it above 3,500 RPM, and with it comes an arm-twisting burst of torque steer. Mazda's new 4-speed automatic transmission has a switch for choosing economy or power modes, and a transmission hold button, a handy item to keep the transmission from upshifting if you don't want it to. If you don't use it, the transmission makes an annoying shudder when shifting into overdrive at low speeds. If you'd rather have a 5-speed, well, you'll have to settle for a 626 without four-wheel steering. Speaking of which, the Mazda steering system is hydraulic and electronic, unlike the Honda Prelude system, which is fully mechanical. At low speeds, below 22 miles per hour, the rear wheels turn up to 5 degrees opposite the front ones for greater parking ease and maneuverability. At higher speeds, above 22 miles per hour, the rear wheels turn up to 5 degrees in the same direction as the front ones for better handling. In our slalom, this 626 felt like other 626s we've tried, with mild front-end plow, moderate body roll, and overall good manners. But in this 626, when the rear wheels start to do their stuff, you feel the front-end plow begin to go away, and the overall feel of the car is a bit more nimble. But here's a feature that will make a difference: anti-lock brakes. It's part of the package on the four-wheel steer turbo sedan. Unlike many cars with anti-lock brakes, the pulse you feel in the brake pedal during a hard stop is very mild. But the 626's ABS does work, with a stopping distance that averages a very short 102 feet from 55. Out in the real world, typical sedan buyers will find the 626 four-wheel steer turbo sedan rides a little on the firm side. Mazda's auto-adjusting suspension offers a softer ride, but it's not available on this model. Highway travel is very quiet, though, at 66 decibels, and it's economical, too, considering the car's excellent acceleration. The four-wheel steer model is EPA rated at 19 city, 25 highway. We manage 24 in routine driving. In addition to their rounded bodies, all 626s get new interiors this year. But changes are more than cosmetic. The seats have more bolstering, too much for the bigger drivers on our staff. They are comfortable though, and 6-way adjustable, plus the steering wheel adjusts for rake. All 626s come with automatic front shoulder belts. We didn't mind them as much as the lap belt. Its mounting point is too far forward for most drivers. Gauges include a large tach and speedometer. There are no readouts for oil pressure or volts. Mazda's oscillating dash vents are standard and do distribute air around the cabin effectively. The heater controls themselves are straightforward and easy to reach. But the AM/FM cassette stereo is located a little too far down the dash for easy operation. The four-wheel steer turbo sedan is practical. Trunk liftover is low and there's plenty of luggage room. And if there's still not enough room, the split rear seats fold down for more. The Mazda 626 four-wheel steer turbo sedan hit us just right with good power, maneuverability and nimble handling, excellent anti-lock brakes, clean aero styling, and family car versatility. On the miss side, we didn't like the turbo engine's torque steer. We also disliked the way the automatic transmission shuddered when shifting into overdrive. It's too bad the manual isn't available as an option. Finally, we didn't like the fit of the front lap belts. In our safety check, the 626 passes with front passive restraints, rear shoulder belts, 5-mile-per-hour bumpers, radial tires, and anti-lock brakes. For comparison, well, the four-wheel steer turbo sedan doesn't have any real competitors, unless you're comparing premium option images. In that case, the four-wheel drive Audi 90 Quattro is much more expensive, better in bad weather, but it's not as fast or nimble as the Mazda. If it's four-wheel steering you want, the only other car that has it is the Honda Prelude. It has less room, only 2 doors, and no special styling cues to show off its four-wheel steering. With the 626, we've confirmed our first impressions of four-wheel steering. It makes a car more maneuverable at low speeds and a somewhat better handling car at high speeds. But the real issue here is whether, with the addition of four-wheel steering, the 626 turbo sedan can carry off its premium image mission. With a few exceptions, we think it can. And since we've just added this Mazda to our fleet of long-term test cars, we'll let you know if our opinion changes. Now, we know that not everyone can afford to buy a new car. Fixing up that old one has to do. And that can be pretty expensive these days. One of the most common expenses of keeping up an older car is having it repainted. So we asked our FYI reporter Charlotte Nichols to look into all the variables of getting a good paint job.
Your present car may be losing its appeal if it's not quite as shiny as it once was. Or you may be a multiple car family trying to keep your cars longer and maintain their appearance. Perhaps your vehicle has come out on the losing end of an accident. Any of these reasons cause consumers each year to seek out body and paint work for their vehicles.
As a result, paint shops are doing a booming business. If you're thinking about having your car's appearance touched up, there are some things you should keep in mind to get the most for your painting dollar.
Finding the right type of paint shop for your needs is the first consideration.
I think they have to decide what kind of value they want for their money. They have to place a value on the car itself, what they want to put into the car, how long they want the job to hold up.
You want to fix this?
More than anything else, exactly what they want to get out of the car in the long haul. If you've got a Maserati, you want to go to a custom paint shop. You don't want to go to a place that specializes in $89.95 paint jobs.
Maaco is probably one of the nation's best-known paint facilities, thanks to aggressive advertising and promotional campaigns. A variety of painting services has resulted in more than 4 million cars painted at Maaco shops across the country since they started 15 years ago.
The aftermarket repair industry has made great strides in both equipment and paint material that's available to just about duplicate many of the factory finishes that are available today. Maybe the first thing you want to do once you get to the facilities is to check the place out, see if it's neat and organized, and the people there, are they professional? Do they take an interest in you and your car and trying to develop a rapport? A shop should not be hesitant to show them samples of their finished work. It's certainly a good idea to have an overall picture of your car or whatever vehicle you're driving, you know, the overall condition.
The actual paint job will depend upon what service best suits your objectives and budget. As with most things in life, you get what you pay for. Most disappointments result when proper communication hasn't been established from the beginning. So don't assume anything. Get details in writing. For example, find out if rust repair or chrome removal is included in the job.
You want to make sure before you authorize that work to be done, you want to know what they're doing to your automobile. Don't just sign a blank repair order. Many times, we customers many times will feel that we write our estimates like druggists or pharmacists, and they don't understand what they're getting. And we go to great lengths to go around the car with the customer to make sure they understand what they're getting. It's part of our estimating procedure.
When the time comes to pick up your car, look it over. It's the finished work you'll have to live with, so inspect it carefully.
Go around all the things that were itemized on the estimate. Make sure that everything was taken care of. Make sure that it is free of runs and dirt and that it was prepared properly in some of the hard-to-get areas in the front, behind the wheel openings, around moldings and so forth. Make sure that the paint is applied evenly. There's not a lot of orange peel. There's no runs or sags.
Customers should expect from a good paint shop that they would take the time to explain how to carefully maintain the new finish on their car. In addition, they should also receive all written materials such as a written receipt, and then the warranty itself should be specified very clearly.
Although you may still long for the thrill of a brand new automobile, painting today can be a happy, more economical alternative.
Really nice. Look at that shine.
Not thinking ahead can cause some car problems, but then there are other car problems that don't have a clear cause. Well, Patt Goss is here now to deal with a few of those. Pat?
John, nothing will drive you crazy quite like having a noise in your car and not knowing where it comes from or what you can do about it. Now, this time I have a couple of letters about annoying noises. The first one right here from Mr. Lay Stone of Norristown, Pennsylvania, who writes, I have an '87 Camaro with an air leak around the window. The weather strip has already been replaced, but that hasn't solved the problem. What is the solution? Well, the solution is probably pretty simple. But first, you have to find out exactly where the problem is. Now, one way you can do that yourself is right here. A simple strip of paper. Now, all you do with that is you take and you open the door and you close the door over the strip of paper. Now, keep in mind that this only works on cars that have windows without frames around them. So this has to fit directly between the window and the weather stripping. Okay, now this should be tight. I shouldn't be able to move it. But as we see here, I can move it quite easily. That is, till we get up here, and then it starts to get tight. Now, that's telling us that probably we have an air leak from about here, where it got tight, back to the back of the window. Okay, but there's a better way of doing it. This is an electronic leak detector. Now, we have placed a transmitter inside the car, and this acts as a receiver. We turn it on, and it makes a beeping sound. Then what we do is we move it along the weather stripping. As we go along, when we come to a spot where we have leakage, it starts to beep faster. And that tells us exactly where the problem is. Now, once you've done that, you've found out where the problem is, that's where you stop. Because from this point on, you need somebody who knows a lot about windows and doors. You see, there's a mechanical regulator down inside the door that not only moves this window up and down, but it's adjusted to keep the window tight against the weather stripping. Somebody probably in a body shop that knows how to do this to perform the final adjustment. And oh, one other thing, sometimes it isn't always that complicated. On some cars, the weather strip itself is adjustable. So between the window regulator and the weather stripping, you can, in most cases, get rid of just about all of this annoying wind noise. Okay, now our next letter is from C.R. Abel of El Paso, Texas, who says, I have an '85 Toyota standard pickup which has a rattle that comes from under the hood. The rattle is constant but loudest at low speed. I'd appreciate any information you might have. Well, most all late model cars, including this Toyota pickup truck, will have something like we have right here. This is a heat shield that is built around the exhaust manifold. Now, it serves different purposes on different vehicles, but the big thing is it's made of tin, as this one is, and it's usually attached by bolts or screws. And they many times come loose. And they rattle. They make all kinds of strange noises. Now, the fix for them is pretty simple. You just tighten the retaining bolts or screws. But our Toyota pickup truck, it may have something that is a little bit more elaborate, such as what we have right here. This is a rather large two-piece shield, and between the two pieces of it, right here in the middle, well, there's an insulation material that keeps the two pieces from touching one another. This insulation material many times goes bad, and when it does, it lets the two pieces of metal touch one another, and then you can get all kinds of strange noises, from rattles to squeaks and squawks, some noises that you wouldn't think would come from a couple of pieces of tin. Well, the fix for this is very simple. You buy a new piece of insulation material, you remove the retaining bolts, put the new insulation material in there, tighten everything up, and in most cases, this will take care of the problem. Now, suppose you have a strange noise in your automobile. You know, maybe we could be of assistance. How about dropping us a line here at Motorweek 21117? That's Motorweek, Owings Mills, Maryland, 21117.
A couple of weeks ago, we bid farewell to one of our year-long road test vehicles, the Peugeot 505 STX. We try to keep at least one four-door in our long-term fleet at all times. So this week we introduce its replacement, this Pontiac Bonneville SE. It's the latest large front-drive four-door in GM stable. Pontiac seems to get a little more out of their corporate designs, and that's why we chose this Bonneville for our longer test. We've had this Pontiac Bonneville SE on our lot since June, and in the first 4 months we chalked up some 10,000 miles of travel. Right away, you know that this Bonnie is proving to be a popular car with our staff. With its 3.8-liter V6 and 4-speed automatic, it's a reasonably spirited sedan. We also like its fresh styling. Figure in good handling, ride, and fuel economy, and it's easy to see why we chose the Bonneville SE as the best domestic sedan for '87 in our annual Driver's Choice poll. And how do we feel about it now that we've lived with it for a while? Well, the same, even if we knew from the start that the relationship wouldn't be perfect. Over the summer, we had an intermittent stalling problem, but it disappeared as quickly as it came. Right now, we have a bad case of distortion on one channel of the Delco stereo, plus a squeaky fan belt. Both are scheduled to be fixed under warranty. Mileage, which was a fine 24 in our original test loop, is still good for a big V6 air-conditioned sedan at 21. With nothing but oil and filter changes to add to fuel cost, per-mile expenses are quite reasonable at 5.7. Between 5 and 6 cents per mile is average for all cars. Next time you see our Bonnie, the general warranty will have lapsed, although GM's 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty ensures that we won't have any major mechanical repair costs. Now, our Bonneville is a 1987 model, but we thought we'd take a minute to bring you up to date on 1988 Bonneville editions. Last year, the SE was the top Bonneville grade. For 1988, it's the Bonneville SSE. And at $22,000, it takes the Bonneville into the European class of sedans. Outside, you notice the mono-colored paint scheme and extra ground-hugging bodywork. Our opinion of it and its gold trim varies from color to color. It looks best in black, white, and gray metallic. Inside, you'll find higher bolstered sports seats with leather trim available, a 120 mile per hour speedometer, automatic climate control, radio controls on the steering wheel, and an electronic compass. But what we like best about the SSE is its 10% more powerful 3800 V6 engine. There's also a firmer suspension, fat 16-inch Goodyear Eagle GT Plus 4 tires, and standard anti-lock brakes. Yes, the SSE should do for the Bonneville what the STE did for the 6000. And if you can get past the extra S and the gold-trimmed logo on the grille, we think you'll love it. Our car of the week is a 1969 Vignale Fiat Gamine. It's owned by Jeffrey S. Summer of Alexandria, Virginia. If you'd like to show off your special car, send a good color photograph and a self-addressed stamped return envelope to Motorweek, Owings Mills, Maryland, 21117. Not everyone can own a Vignale Fiat, but Charlotte Nichols has news of a special car that you may soon be able to own, and news of others that you may be happy not to own. Charlotte?
Thanks, John. We've been speculating about Ford's Probe for a couple of months, but now the facts are in. The Probe will debut as an '89 model at the 1988 Chicago Auto Show. It will compete with popular Japanese coupes, and it will be built by Mazda at the company's Flat Rock, Michigan assembly plant. The Probe shares its drivetrain with Mazda's front drive 626, but its interior and hatchback-only exterior were designed by Ford, and 60% of the Probe's parts will come from U.S. sources. Ford would like to make the Probe even more American. Rumor is 1990 Probes may get Ford-designed engines. In recall news, it's Chrysler this time. The recall is for 14,000 1988 rear-drive cars, Chrysler Fifth Avenue, Plymouth Grand Fury, and Dodge Diplomat sedans with cruise control. Chrysler wants to inspect the wiring in these cars. They believe some wires may be misplaced and could cause electrical fires. John?
To say that cars are more than transportation is no revelation around here. But finding out how much more, well, that's the stuff that raises our eyebrows. And Craig Singhaus's. Well, he's taken the high road and found a car that became one man's dream and then reality.
The first time I ever saw this particular type of car was in 1969, and I can still remember it. I was standing out in front of my high school waiting to catch the bus home, and a man drove by in an E-Series Jag, same exact color as mine, with the top down, and an attractive young lady sitting next to him, and everybody was watching, and I assure you they weren't watching the lady, they were watching the car. And I decided right then and there that that was the car I would eventually own.
For Tim Shaw of Phoenix, Maryland, the purchase of his 1970 E-Type Jaguar was the culmination of a 20-year dream. And on a warm summer morning not long ago, Tim shared his thoughts on Jaguar ownership.
I particularly like the E-Type because I think it's the most beautifully styled automobile I've ever seen. I've owned other sports cars, and I have friends who have a variety of different sports cars, but I think that from a performance standpoint and just the physical body design, it's the most beautiful car I've ever seen.
Tim spent a number of months looking for just the right car, finally locating one through a friend who owns a restoration shop.
The things I liked about the car is that even though I don't particularly want to show it, I'm not concerned about keeping it in show condition, I did want to have a car that was as close to factory original as possible. And the Jag has its original leather interior. It has original wire wheels. The paint, in fact, is the original British racing greens.
The E-Type Jaguar first appeared in the spring of 1961. It evolved from the famous Jaguar C-Type and D-Type racing cars. C and D-Type Jaguars dominated international sports car racing in the 1950s, with D-Types winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1955, 56, and 57. With then novel innovations such as front disc brakes, distinctive aerodynamic bodywork, and a twin overhead cam 6-cylinder engine, D-Types were fast and furious single-purpose machines. It was when Jaguar sought to update D-Types with an independent rear suspension and other civilized features that the E-Type was born. Late model E-types such as Tim's have a larger 4.2-liter engine. It propels the Jag from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, with a top speed of more than 140 miles an hour. Tim was kind enough to let us take a turn at the wheel, and you can really feel the car's power. We spent the morning tooling through the countryside and stopped for lunch at a nearby restaurant. Wherever we went, people admired the car. While the Jag is Tim's pride and joy, it isn't just a plaything. It sees daily duty, even in suburban traffic.
I do drive it to and from work, and if I have to go somewhere where I'm not hauling something around, it's the car of choice.
Tim says his E-Type is actually very comfortable as daily transportation, and unlike many British sports cars, it's pretty reliable, except for one classic flaw.
On rainy days, I just know I'm going to have to come and bail it out. It's impossible to seal them up. You know, you put the top up, you roll the windows, and then you pray. I think that if someone were to spit on the sidewalk, I'd have water in the car. The nicest thing about owning a car like this is driving it either very early in the morning or just at sunset when you've got the top down. And you're breezing along and everybody else has got their windows rolled up and, you know, their air conditioning going, but you can hear the birds and you can see the trees and you just get a better view of the world. I just frankly can get up in the morning and if I'm having a lousy day and not feeling well, getting in that car and driving that car can make me feel better. It really does.
We hope we made you feel better, and we'd like to try again next time. With more questions answered by Patt Goss, a report from Charlotte Nichols on auto leasing, plus our usual road test. I'm John Davis, and we'll see you then.
If you would like a transcript of this program, send $4 to Motorweek Transcripts, Owings Mills, Maryland 21117. Residents of Maryland add 20 cents sales tax. Ask for show number 714.